welcome to my YouTube channel where we talk all about farming, specifically livestock farming. So, are you planning to start a poultry business, specifically a business of raising layer birds or a business of having a layer chickens which produce eggs and you sell eggs, but you cannot decide whether you go by the day-old chicks or the point of lay birds? Now, in this video, I will break down the pros and cons of each option so that you can make an informed choice for your farm. So hang around, and by the end of this video you have a clear understanding of which option suits you and also which option can suit your budget as well as time and also farming goals and objectives. Now let's first define our options. So when you want to start a egg laying business, you can either start with day-old chicks or with a point of lay birds. Basically, when you talk of day-old chicks, these are baby chicks which are just recently hatched and are ready to be raised. They are usually cheap and can be found on a price range of between $1 up to about $2. And also these usually come from reputable suppliers. Now, when you look at the point of lay birds, these are young hens usually around the age of 16 to 18 weeks, and they are about to start laying their eggs. These are quite costly in terms of the financial requirements. They cost something between $8 up to about $12 per each hen. So now let's look at what makes each one good or bad choice for different types of farmers. First up, let's start with the day-old chicks. So now when you talk of the day-old chicks, some of the pros or some of the advantages is that they have a lower initial costs. You can purchase a lot of them when compared with the point of lay birds. On the other hand, there is also full control over feeding and also vaccination. You raise them from scratch and you follow all the vaccination procedures, and also you feed them according to the specified rations and also according to the specified quantities. So basically you can monitor and also have all the control of their feed intakes as well as their vaccination schedules. Number 3 is that they have better adaptability. They grow up in the environment that you are raising them up, and this is very important because it reduces stress, and also these tend to be also more profitable in the long run. Raising them yourself can be cost effective, especially when you start to compare the cost of raising that chick and also even the cost of purchasing the day-old chicks compared to the cost of purchasing point of lay birds. Let's look now at the disadvantages of these day-old chicks. One of the major challenges of these day-old chicks is that they have high mortality risk. When they come during the first days, they are very fragile and they require a special handling. And this means you also have to brood them, provide artificial heat so that they can keep warm and also develop feathers. So it's very important that you understand and also you know how to brood them, so that you can reduce the mortality rates. On the other hand, another disadvantage of these day-old chicks is that they have a longer time to profit. Basically, you have to wait up to 19 weeks for them to start laying. So basically, this means you have to wait a little bit longer, and you have to be very patient when you start with day-old chicks. On the other hand, it also tends to be very labor intensive. It requires additional labor from you, especially when you have very big numbers. You need labor for brooding and also for feeding, and as well as monitoring, because when you do this kind of business where you start with day-old chicks, you have to be very alert and also monitor every movement and behavior of the chicks. So it's very essential that you invest in labor and also you understand how are you going to monitor the birds from time to time. But if you choose a day-old chicks, make sure you have the proper brooding facilities to keep them warm and also healthy. And it's also very important that you have all the facilities in place such that you reduce the mortality rates. Now, let's discuss some of the point layer beds advantages. The most common advantage of these point of lay beds is that there is quick income generation. Usually they come around 16 to 18 weeks, and an egg is expected starting from 18 weeks. So this means there is quick income generation. They start laying eggs within weeks, even within days in some cases. So this also means there is less work, no brooding, and also even chick rearing is not required. So basically you have covered as a farmer. Then also we look also at another angle, which is a lower mortality risk. They are now stronger and also are now less prone to diseases. Basically they are now resilient, and also this means a very low mortality rates, something that can save you a lot of money. On the other hand, this is ideal for beginner farmers, especially those who are not well knowledgeable about the field, and also those who have no information about how to brood the chicks, and also all those who are less experienced in terms of chicken management or in terms of layer beds management. The disadvantages of this point of lay beds is that they have high initial costs, especially when you purchase them in big number. This means you need a lot of money as an investment to purchase a suitable number or a number you want. It's very expensive to buy these beds, and you have to plan very carefully your finances when you want to start with the point of lay beds. On the other hand, another disadvantage is that there is less control over their upbringing, because sometimes you cannot know what they were fed and how they were grown and how they were transitioned from one diet to another, and also how these birds were vaccinated, where the vaccination followed up to schedule, and also how they were handled in terms of stress, how they were housed. You might not know all the details about that, and this is something which is very important, because it also affects your production. So basically you have to buy these from reputable suppliers who have adhered to the recommended vaccination schedules, who have raised them according to the acceptable standards and also according to the nutrition protocol recommended. You have to get it that when you purchase this, you don't have control over their upbringing. You rely on the breeder's care, and also you have to be very careful and purchase from the reputable suppliers. On the other hand, there is also a possible adjustment stress, especially with moving them to a new farm. It may even delay some egg production, and also as they start to adjust to a new environment, especially when there are extreme changes, maybe in terms of the environment, in terms of temperature. It's something that can even affect the subsequent production. So basically something you have to put in place and also understand the disadvantages of this model. Now let's look at some of the consideration you have to take when you want to choose. What do you consider when you want to choose between day-old chicks or point of lay beds? Basically you have to consider your budget. Are you on a low budget, or do you have sufficient funds to start this kind of business? When you have a low budget, you go for the day-old chicks. And when you have more capital or more funds, you can go for point of lay beds is an option which you can go up to. Then also look at the time commitment. If you can invest time in brooding and even caring for the chicks, then choose the day-old chicks. And if not, if you are not willing to invest time in brooding, then go for the point of lay beds. It's easier for you that way. Then we can also look at the risk tolerance. Generally day-old chicks have a higher risk but better long-term gains when compared with the point of lay beds. So also look at your risk tolerance level, and also see how or which option can you take. Now another key thing is that you also look at your experience level. Usually if you're a beginner, you may prefer to start with point of lay beds for a hassle-free start, though it can be a little bit costly, but it's easier for you. It also gives you a perspective on how to run the whole business. And also when you are an experienced farmer, usually you tend to start with day-old chicks, because it tend to reduce your cost of production, overall cost, and also even you are experienced, you know how to brood, and you also know how to adhere to the vaccination schedules. So basically it's to be very easy for you. So if you are starting small and want to learn about poultry farming, day-old chicks can be great experience. But if you want fast returns, point of lay beds might be the way to go. So all this decision lies on your finances, and also on your experiences, and also your risk tolerance and time commitment you are willing to put onto the venture. So what's your choice? Will you go for day-old chicks or point of lay beds? Let me know in the comments. Comment, and if you find this video to be helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and also share, and also hit the notification bell for more poultry farming tips, as well as more other livestock farming venture tips. See you in the next video. Thank you.